never heard this talked about much. You see, these videos I make them for my previous self, wishing I would have heard these things before I did, because it would have given me some psychological comfort. For me, that's where the serenity can flourish. When I didn't have these things in my mind that didn't make sense. When things made sense on an existential level, as best as they can, we can't figure everything out, but when they made sense, somehow that was the highest gift, spiritual gift. That was more impactful than doing the continuous meditation and yoga and all the discipline practices. I had to do all that though anyway, just to, see how it works. So we're talking in this video about, you can say, final soul cycle. And why, if that is what's happening in your life, because it's important not to misread your life situation, your path, and get wrong ideas and think, well, I'm being punished. What's wrong with me? Like, why am I having such a hard time? Or I have a mental problem because I'm not fitting in because everyone else seems to be doing fine. Why aren't I? Okay, so I want to clear these things up. But this specific, there's many reasons why a person's life can be heavy. It's not anyone that has a heavy life. It's, wow, this is your last cycle. You've compressed 1,000 years into this incarnation, and that's why it's heavy, man. Right on. No, it's not the case. We'll talk about a couple other, you can say, energetic signatures that you can see in a person's life that gives some reason of why their life is hard. We'll talk about a couple of those at the end, but right now I want to focus on the main points because I don't want to forget. We're talking about the people whose pretty much their whole life can be heavy and hard, at least the first half. Generally, with these people, their first half is difficult. It can be more than half. And like I said, it can be, the whole thing can be heavy, but there's degrees of heaviness, and it seems to thin out a little bit as time goes on, because you start to surrender to the cards that have been dealt to you. This is the most important thing. This is the highest spiritual lesson that there is, actually. A certain level of inner acceptance for the cards that have been dealt to you, and something realizes, I can't fix this. I'm not in control of this. I can try, I can make effort, but the results, I can't guarantee. Now, when I was saying at the beginning that I hardly ever heard this growing up, I would hear the opposite when I would try to bring my issues or problems or situation to the therapist or psychologist or self-help people or spiritual teachers and gurus, okay? They never mentioned this, hardly. It was more the opposite. It was more like, directly or indirectly, they're inferring that there's something wrong with me. There's something I'm not doing right, and that's why my life is hard and heavy. And it never felt right. It didn't feel right because, I'm trying to evade responsibility, and it didn't feel right because it wasn't right. It wasn't true. I knew that the challenges I was facing, they were not going to go away. They were like I signed up for it. This is one of the ways you know about that this, you can say, is like the last. It's like the last stand the ego's making to try to preserve itself, and it's the last cycle in the soul journey to dismantle that also. I knew it was something like that. Like that felt inside, it felt right. You got to know the difference between when something feels right to your ego and feels something right on a cosmic, eternal, internal level. You have to be able to discern that to a degree, and that's a ever-evolving process in itself. But what I would hear from these people when I would seek their counsel, and even unsolicited advice, that's the worst advice. Somebody's trying to tell you about yourself, and you're like, bro, I'm not looking for any advice, all right? Shoo them, like that Thai girl used to do to me in Thailand. She'd shoo me, shoo! And then I just wanted to hear her say that, because I liked it. So they would say things like, well, look at Hee Haw. He's really enjoying his life. He's all jumping around and trying to accomplish his goals, and he's all fired up. You got to find motivation, man. You got to find your passion. Like, we're gonna get into that too. Why these souls who, if this is the end of your cycle, you don't have that same passion people have. It's like an elementary kid trying to sell you an elementary school or something. You're like, bro, I understand. Like, it was fun at the time. It was like, cool. But like, that season's passed. They don't know that because the season didn't pass. You see? Don't expect to be understood by people. I tell people when I do sessions with them, just stop telling people your problems or looking for help. It's just gonna make you worse, because you're gonna get misunderstanding. Based on their frequency of understanding, they can't understand these things. So I'm like, yeah, he's not for me. Well, look at Barney. He's like flexing his gains, got mad. I mean, he got gains like that, but he's trying to show something. Must feel good about himself, right? If you look good, you feel good. Yeah, I debunked that myth on my other channel, Beyond the Alchemy, which I'm taking a break from. I gotta conserve some energy. I'm like, when I was in that stage trying to get the gains, I was so restless. I couldn't see it at the time because I'm in it. But when you get out of it, then you look in retrospect, you can see like, geez, I was super restless, man. Every time I went outside or anywhere, I'm wondering like who's looking at me, like, you know, impressed by these gains. There's only two reasons I found for myself of why I was trying to work out like a madman in the gym. And one is to get girls to look at me. But then the irony is I wasn't interested in those type of girls. Superficial. So it's like, why are you trying to get them to look at you? I don't know. I was a dopamine addict. I needed the attention. So it's that reason, or to get guys to be intimidated. Yeah, what's up? See? There's both reasons. It made me restless. That's why I was doing it. If your motives are pure, good. But I'm telling you, if you if you do deep subterranean introspection, you'll catch yourself. It's not about blame. Like, it's just, this is the way the ego mind in the human vessel operates. So the more we catch those things out, the more we can be free. All right, let's get into what causes this. What are some signs? What are some, energetic signatures of this final soul compression? So one thing, you can start, sometimes you feel exhausted, man. You're just like exhausted for no reason. Something's like tired. It's like, that's why I made that video. Eat, sleep, go to bed, wake up, repeat. That's a good video, right? Something you're like, you feel like you're in Groundhog Day. Like something's just over it, and it just makes you tired. Okay, now I'm gonna go into the world. I go to work, and then they're gonna say hi, and I'm supposed to say hi. How you doing? Put the smile on. Oh, I gotta be scared of the boss because, he's the boss. And all these patterns and conditioning that people act out. I know in America, I heard somebody comment this, and I was like, it was a woman, Tiffany, I think. She's like, I'm so sick of the people saying, this only happens in America. I had never experienced this overseas. They're like, if you're too close, they could be not so close even. And they're like, excuse me, sorry, excuse me. Hearing that all the time, man. She was tired of it. I'm like, I know. I don't even like to go to the grocery store for that reason, because if there's a lot of people there, it's just constantly everybody's saying sorry, excuse me. It's like, relax. Like, relax, man. Like, who cares? You're close to me, okay. In India, yeah, don't go to India. Get into the line to go buy a train ticket or something. They're like on top of each other. Like, literally. Yeah, that's too close. Like, I don't like that. Just let's just have a little space and like not worry about it. So something that starts to wear on you after a while, just the way the planet's set up and the way things run. Now, at first you get pissed off. Like, I was super cynical about all this when I was living in LA in my early 20s. I was fed up. Because that's normal. It's like a grieving process. You have to like grieve that you're like on the wrong planet. That's another sign. You just really feel like you're on the wrong planet. It's not, it's coming from, it's like some primordial feeling. It's not like you're just some flippant thing like, oh, I'm on the wrong planet. No, you're like seriously on the wrong planet. Of course, on deeper level, you're on the right planet because this is where the training is. I made videos about that. But I'm just saying, as far as like fitting in and having chemistry with the collectives and belonging and all that, like you feel like you're on the wrong planet. So these things start to wear on you, but then as you get, as we evolve, you can't skip or buck the evolutionary process. You might be resentful for a while, but at some point, you see what's going on. This is why I say it's important to have this knowledge, because it clears up. It gives psychological comfort and clears up misunderstanding. It's like, no, I'm here because I'm like dissolving karma on a level, man, that's like super accelerated. That's how I felt. When I started contemplating that more, it like made sense. Because there's no way all these uncomfortable situations, painful situations, that's another thing. Most of these beings, they're on the final cycle. If you squeezed, 1,000 years or more, or several lifetimes into one last lifetime, as far as this planet goes, you come back later if there's some real divine reason. It's not like, nothing's absolute. But if you're squeezed so tight, man, that there's usually these beings, there's a high level of suffering. I was saying that at the beginning, at least your first half of your life, but it can keep going, But you get to where you paradoxically make peace with that. That doesn't mean the pain goes away. It means that there's somehow inside there's more space opens up to allow the pain to be there because you have understanding of what's going on. It's not personal. That's the thing. It's not personal. It's not something I did. Get into that a little bit at the end of the video. Because here we're talking about final cycle soul stuff, but karma. But there's also, you can say there's punishment karma too. That used to trip me up. Like, am I like being punished? Like, what the hell did I do? These previous lives, did I, like, why is there so much pain? And the pain can take so many different forms. We don't need to go into that. Just whatever. There seems to be a continuous level of suffering, and that doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. In most, they won't say that because they're probably just not aware of it. Like I said, the self-help teachers and spiritual teachers, no, man, you got to find the right technique. You got to meditate harder. You got to do this more and that more. You got to be like hee-haw, and you got to get all fired up, find your passion. So much misinformation out there. It's only by grace that we were able to hear the things we really need to hear. That's really for us. It's a miracle. It's a miracle that it truly is. It's a miracle that I heard these things. Only God could give us those things that could help clear up all these misnomers, So not only is there a high level of suffering usually in these beings, who this may be your last cycle, there's also, equally important and true, is there's a high level of spiritual clarity. And you didn't get this clarity from taking a 4-year spiritual university course or techniques that you practice really hard. And no, you just have this clarity. You had it from the get-go, pretty much. And nobody could really help foster that. But still, it wouldn't go away. You just saw things. You can't undo your seeing. I saw things like I've shared, and also in my book, when I was 7 and they were giving me Haldol. You imagine? What a strong drug to give to a kid. They're giving me, and it was giving me weird side effects, like I felt like my bones were popping out of my skin. It just felt weird. And we go back to the doctor, and he's like, well, here, take this for that. I'm like, but keep taking the drug that's causing the symptoms, and now take another drug to buffer the symptoms? I just knew it didn't make sense. So beings that are higher level like that, you intuit things that you're not responsible for intuiting them. You just have it. Those downloads are already there. They're dormant memories. That's another sign. You have dormant memories that get activated. They're not memories in your logical mind. They're inside, you can say, your causal body. Those videos will come later. But astral and causal body, I like those subjects. These seeds are deep inside you, these memories. And they certain situations let them out, and you just have a certain, that's where your seeing comes from, because you saw them before. All this stuff that I'm sharing here, there's no way, this is not teaching. This is not teaching. This is waking up what you already know. If these memories aren't already in you, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. You'll misinterpret it and misread it and then talk nonsense. I mean, you know how many times I've seen that? I've been doing this now a while. Like, I expect it. I already know it. I don't take it personal. It has nothing to do with me. It's however you perceive my messages have to do with your capacity of understanding and your level of perception, which is contingent upon your level of consciousness. So I'm talking to those beings who know this stuff. But these beings, your clarity, man, is on point. It's just on point. That can take many different forms. So it's both. You have usually both, a high level suffering, but also high level spiritual clarity. What else? I wrote some bullet points because this is, important stuff. But I think we touched on it. We always do that. Like, I write it, but then we touch on most everything. Your desire for worldly things. You see, you don't care what hee-haw's doing because like, you don't care. You can't make yourself care. You can't get motivated for things that you don't care about anymore. Some beings come in here don't care about it from the get-go. Worldly material things like Yogananda and Sri Dayamata. I mean, she's 15, man. She don't care about anything this world has to offer. She heard Yogananda speak and she cared about that. She wanted that message, that she had the self-realization in her. When he spoke, it woke it up. So she's like, please, I need to reawaken because I'm in this bodysuit again. Can I be around you a little bit? Most people, this is why I like that TV series, The Messiah. I mentioned that before. It shows what happens. It shows what happens in the collective world if a true awakened being was here and was somehow God wanted to make him or her public. It shows what would happen, how the mainstream would act. They're not trying to drink the self-realization. No, they want, please heal me and my mom and my dad and give me money and let me have children. And you see, all material, superficial. That was like one of my favorite TV programs. Of course, it got canceled. Religions, they can't handle it. But I was glad that they were out. It was out for 12 episodes or something. So you feel alien. You feel like an alien on this world because metaphorically you are. Just look on Facebook. Do you jive with that? Is that your thing? Share, this is what I ate today. Like, oh wow, looks good. All that's cool. We're not making fun of, are you going to go to elementary school and make fun of the elementary kid? No, that's just what they do. It's cool. But for you, it's not for you. That's the thing. It's not for you. So, but when the whole world's pretty much doing that, you can start to feel a bit like an alien. That's okay. That's normal. That's what you're supposed to feel. I was doing a session with a girl, young, 24, Muslim. And she was pretty damn high level. I was telling my friend, man, 24 years old. We're talking like me and my Indian friend talk. I'm like, yeah, I wasn't there at 24. Doesn't matter. Don't get into a race with yourself either. But she's saying the same things here. I said, well, do you have anybody you can connect with? She's like, yeah, I got 2 people. I said, well, that's your world. You and those 2 people, you're lucky you got that. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. What choice do you have? It's not a choice that we're making to disconnect from the world and they're all stupid. No, you just can't connect with them. once you realize that, then there's a surrender that happens. You're like, this is just what it is, man. Like, I appreciate everybody and they're cool and I like watching them as like a show, but I'm not really into it. But the thing is here, there's let's tie this up. In summary, if I had to condense all these signs that show that like this is like your last, you don't need to come back here and do this again. You can learn, you can enjoy and learn more subtle, higher, get downloads and realizations from other planes that are much less limiting, like this plane. You see? So those of you that are tuned, you know this isn't it. When you leave this earth, it's not like, oh, that's it. Like, I'm talking to them people. When there's a deep existential, you can say, feeling, knowing. It's not feeling. Knowing stronger. That, like I said at the beginning, thousands of years, you can say, we're just using words to try to describe this, is being compressed into one little incarnation. It's like you're on fire. You can't put the fire out. There's no techniques and self-help people that are going to put the fire out. Not that you're not open to letting the universe guide you to certain things that can kind of buffer the fire. Yeah, like okay, it's common sense. But it's like the fire don't get put out. You just keep burning your whole life on some level. You just keep burning. Yeah, that's heavy purification, and you'll be super glad when you're done. I remember Yogananda's, I don't remember it's hard to say their names because they're, they all have, they get given these Sanskrit names, but she had headaches all the time. All the time. Bad headaches, migraines. Nothing would help. Nothing. Pills, operations, that didn't help. And I remember he checked her. He had subtle perception. He can, you can tell. If you have subtle perception and you know your own self, you can tell someone else's karma. You can just, if the divine wants you to, and he says he scanned her, and he couldn't find any reason why she was having these headaches. And he said, like, it's karma burning, man. You do not need to come back here. Your seat's going to be waiting for you in heaven, which just means a higher level heavenly plane. So I told you I would talk though too about okay, we can call this like there's also voluntary, because I'm sharing about things that I've experienced and people who I meet mostly through sessions and comments and people who God, the universe sends to me. But there's also karma, you can call it like voluntary, compassionate burden type karma, where you take on certain karma so that you can help understand people better and help them. You can't help somebody if you can't understand them. You need to actually feel what they're feeling. You have to understand on the deepest level so that then you can understand. Then your words have power. They have weight. Otherwise, you're just talking. If you go to a priest who's never been married and has no experience with relationships, what's he going to tell you? Well, just pray about it, and it's not going to mean anything. You need somebody that's like been in it. So some of these, some beings, and sometimes it's a mixture. It's your last cycle that the soul's going through, plus there's some, you can say, voluntary burden karma that you're taking on too. These beings, you can feel, they can feel, there's a good movie reference. Okay, you can feel others' pain. You don't want to feel it. Like, you're not looking to feel it, but you just feel it. You just feel it, especially those who are close to you. I don't know the name of the movie, but I remember this scene. There was a little girl, and she had this gift, I don't know if you want to call it that, but this power where she could feel when people are suffering. And they were all getting on this ship, this boat, to get away from, there's like a war or something, but there was limited space in the boat. And so there's only so many people that could get in. And then there were people like jumping on the boat and holding on, but then when the boat, it was a submarine. And then when it went underwater, all these people are dying. And then she was on the floor like convulsing, She's like, I can feel their pain. I can feel them dying. I like that scene from Powder. It's a real good movie for those who haven't seen it. He had that gift too, where that deer hunter shot the deer, thinks he's a badass, yeah. And then Powder went over to the deer, the hunter was there. Powder touched the deer, put his hand on the hunter. The hunter experienced with the deer. He stopped hunting after that. He said, that boy did something to me. So I remember this happened twice when I was doing plant medicine with two girls who I felt connected with. One happened in Guatemala, and we did mushrooms. She was having a hard, it was a good journey for her, for sure. But then afterwards, after the medicine wore off, she was having a hard time. And we went outside. It was cold at that time. And I said, you want to go outside, get some air? She said, yeah. So we went outside, and I was feeling really good. I always did when I did medicine. But then all of a sudden, man, it hit me. I got super hot. I took all my clothes off except my underwear and laid on the cold concrete. It's just instinctively, I had to cool down. And I remember she says, what's wrong? And I said, I absorbed your energy. Because I could feel that's what happened. It just happened, And then another time in Ecuador, we're at the ayahuasca retreat, and this Chinese girl, we did a Chinese retreat, and we had a connection, and same thing happened. But I already was aware of what was going on because it happened before in Guatemala. So these things can happen, and you have no control over it. You have no control over it. For whatever reason, whatever you owed her something, or destiny wanted you to help, and you take on that pain to help them. So some beings have that you can say, that can manifest in many different forms. If you have it, you can feel like it's not your pain. It's like not your pain, but like you're suffering from it. But we gotta be careful here, because I've seen this a lot too. People get into that too much. There's also a lesson there for you if you have that, to where you have to learn some kind of level of detachment. I mean, yeah, you're always going to be more sensitive than somebody who doesn't have that karma in regards to feeling the pain of others and processing it, but you need to still don't lose your center, because that's our lesson. Like, we have to learn that, because the mind can use everything for an extreme or imbalanced way. And some people even get an ego hit out of it. I'm so sensitive and I just feel everything. Yeah, careful of that too. Check that too, because that's not kosher. And these beings, they can teach. It's like they're your best teachers and guides. They never went to school and did nothing, but it's like it's effortless, because they've been in the experience, but there's transcendence of it, and so they can see the whole thing. I've said before, if I wrote my book years ago, the autobiography book, it would have just been a one-dimensional book on insanity, because there was no transcendence. So when there's transcendence, those beings can really help people. They're not trying to. That's the whole thing. They're not trying to. They didn't go to school to learn how to help people. It's just like you're playing the role that God put you here to play. It's your archetype. It's your karma. So the last thing. Oh yeah, and also the you're. This is important. I'm glad I wrote it down. This is true with both of these situations of final cycle soul karma and also compassionate burden karma, you can say. This high level of suffering, this heaviness, these beings, it doesn't make you jaded. Yeah, this is important. It actually gets transmuted into more realization. You become higher level from it. You get more downloads. It cracks you open. You become more humility. It breaks the ego down more. Surrender principle activates more. You see? That's because you're ready for these higher lessons. Something in you knows how to work with it. So check yourself and just see where you're at. This can give good clarity. So you can stop. You can just. It did for me. That's why I think it could do for others too. It just eliminates the brain damage that the world tries to tell you about your situation. The world has no idea. The average person has no idea, so don't ask them. You trust your own instinct. You trust your own inner accord, inner sanction. And then if you hear a video or read a book that aligns with that, then you should be good. I mean, what else do you need? So the last thing, because this messes people up, it did me too in the past, this punishment karma, you can say, because it exists. I used to think, like, what was I, Hitler or something? Like, why was life so damn hard, man? I mean, the military was the worst. It's like a dark comedy. Those who read that chapter in my book, Losing My Rifle, that's my favorite chapter, actually. I don't know. I don't want to start telling stories. I used to think, like, I must have did some bad stuff, man, to have just a continuous, just one thing after another, and there was no solutions emotionally and mentally, and just I was having a hell of a time. And nobody shared what we're sharing here now. That's why I'm sharing it now. I owe that debt to my own self. Here's the thing with punishment karma, though. One thing with people, don't misinterpret this. I'll fix it after I say it. These because some beings feel like this, you just feel guilty and shameful all the time, no matter what. It's like your living situation. You wake up, feel guilty and shameful, go to bed all day feeling guilty and shameful. That can be a sign of punishment karma. But here's the thing. Those beings, and not to mention, they're gonna have a heavy life too. Imagine you just kill a bunch of people in cold blood, and what do you think? You think that's not gonna come back around? You know, you're gonna have to experience what you did on a certain level to learn from it. You'll get some training in astral too, but this is the main ground where you learn things, because you have the actual experience, you know? So these beings, because the mind will say, oh damn, because there's people, I talk to them, I also feel a lot of guilt and shame, you know, maybe I have punishment karma. No, those beings wouldn't be attracted to these videos. You just wouldn't. They're not at that level. When you've done a bunch of stuff like that, really super negative, just unconscious stuff, your previous lives or last life, you think you're gonna be drawn to something like this? Like, you're not. You're gonna be doing things that aren't this. I'll tell you that. So don't worry about that. There's plenty of other reasons why people also feel guilt and shame. So don't abstract it and, oh, it must be punishment karma. Well, this video kept going, didn't it? Is this the longest video I ever made? I've said that a few times, but this might be. I feel like this was an important subject, though, and especially for those who needed to hear it. Yeah, you know who you are, and that's why I made it, for you. All right, see you.